Today our webinar is Putting Rhyme and Reason Together, so finding out why we use all the different mediums and new stuff that is out there in the world of social media, trying to kind of get the path straight. And nobody better than Lee Culberson, a member of ours with Professional Mojo. She is going to walk us through what we should be doing. Maybe we're already doing some of it, but how we can really improve and see a return on investment on the time spent in this new kind of world of social media. The webinar series is put on by the Georgia Chamber and our Small Business Council, and from the support of 3 of our presenting sponsors this year. They are Alliant Health Plans, Peachtree Benefit Group, and Red Clay Interactive. And just in case you are not aware, part 2 of our social media series is going to be on October 27th. So Lee will probably talk a little bit more about what to expect in the next session towards the end. But be sure to register for that one if your schedule allows to kind of wrap it all together. So without further ado, Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful. So while you are transferring control of El Malco, there it comes, over to me, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Lee Culberson. I'm with Professional Mojo. I see it blinking and all kinds of things are going on. And we are going to talk in an hour. Gosh, we don't have much time, do we? We are going to talk today about putting rhyme with reason. And the first thing I want you to know is I want you to know who you're listening to. So if everybody can see my screen, and Rachel, if you'll ping me, and Rebecca, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, wonderful. This will tell you a little bit about us right away. I'm not going to spend much time on that. You can find out online all you ever want to know, and then some probably we don't want you to know. But this is me over here on the left-hand side. The other founding partner is Rachel Gatesman. You just heard me mention her just now. She's in the group with us, and she's over here on the right. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is make sure that you have this link written down. Now, I know that Rebecca sent it to you. It's professionalmojo.com/GA-chamber-social media. And if you don't have that written down, go ahead and write it down. And when you get there, and this is a page that you're not going to be able to find on our website just by going out to the website. So once again, here is the URL. And what you've got out there today is you have first a register link for part 2. Today, we're taking the very high-level view in the way that we do it and what's worked for us. So what we believe in doing is showing you not a bunch of bells and whistles, but trying to show you how this stuff really works in the real world and how you can grow your business or your nonprofit or even your chamber using some of these Big 5 tools. We call the Big 5 tools. And then in part 2, we're going to cover how Facebook ranks your stuff. For those of you who, as a matter of fact, have been out on Facebook recently, I'm sure you saw a bazillion changes come through, and there are more changes coming down the pike. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why great content distributed widely improves your search, and a number of other tactical things about developing your online portfolio. You're also going to get the slides right here, but you're going to want to take some notes today. I'm not a huge fan of PowerPoint, so you're going to see some things on PowerPoint. Most all of what you're going to see today is out here live. You see it flash before you on the internet. And you also are going to have a download right here to the little, very simple, what we call a level 1 planning tool that will help you get started if you haven't already jumped into this. So that's what's going on out there. Be sure and register and then go out and get your goodies. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about 3 things from a very high level. I'm going to try my best within the next 60 minutes to give you some real ideas about how to use social media to augment what you're already doing and to save some time for questions. So here's what I'd like to do. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see a chat box. Rebecca has kindly agreed to man or woman, whatever you call it, that chat box for me during the course of this presentation. As we go through and you have a question, I want you to pop it in that chat box. When we get to the end of today's presentation, we'll take as many of those questions as we can. But here's the cool thing, is that If we don't get to your question, I do not want you to fret. I want you to know that Rebecca's going to grab those things and she's going to send them to us, and we're going to respond to you anyway. So you're going to get your question answered one way or the other. The other thing that we're going to be doing, and this is a first time, if you have a Facebook page, Twitter account, a blog, a website that you'd like for us to take a look at for free, ping that URL into the chat box as well. Rebecca's going to grab that, and that's something else that we'll be glad to get back to you. We'll take the first 3 of those. So today we're going to be talking about a little bit about the why of social media. I think that inherently you probably already know that, or, well, you wouldn't be on this webinar. But I want to put it in some real terms for you. Second, and this will be the bulk of what we talk about today, are the main tools. And we're going to be talking about them in order of size. Facebook, of course, is the huge 800-pound gorilla in the space. We're going to be talking about YouTube. We'll be talking about Twitter. We'll be talking about LinkedIn. And then we'll be talking about our personal favorites, which are blogs. And then, in the course of talking about the how and getting a grip with this simple tool I'm going to show you today, you're going to be getting some exposure also to podcasts. We're going to talk a little bit about video logs. We're going to talk just a tiny bit about Foursquare and other location-based services. So we have a lot to do today. So hold on as I grab my new space to your Bippy, and make sure, again, you get your questions in as we go. So first, why social media? Why are we talking about online marketing today? Well, first, let me tell you, and for those of you who read my pre-workshop remarks, you know, social media is not the panacea that everybody thinks it is. I love it when we talk to customers and prospects, and they go, oh, I built my Facebook page, and I don't understand why I don't have 5,000 people in my Facebook page. How come I only have 32 likes on my Facebook page? Well, you know, if you build it, that doesn't mean that they're going to come. This is not the field of dreams. The fact is that it's not cheap and easy. Sure, the platforms may be free, but the effort, and you're going to see that today, that it takes to build the online community so you're getting a real return on investment and real revenue to your bottom line, or a real uptick in donors or volunteers or sponsors or membership or whatever it is you do, that takes planning and effort. But when you do get all that together, the fact is, and you know it, we know it, is that people use this stuff. Upwards of 80% of folks are out there all the time searching for things. And let me tell you what, I recently had a prospect tell us that, well, we know exactly who our customers are. They're not going to find us on search. We're already talking to them. It's a very finite group. That's especially the mindset oftentimes with B2B, very specially oriented organizations. And my comment to them was, well, even if they know about you, I can almost guarantee they're still searching because they're trying to find information about you, information about your leadership, information about your executive director, information about your competitors, about your product, about your pricing. So people research, they use this stuff. They also recommend you, and not just your product or your service, but you. I mean, they'll go on and they'll say, hey, you know what, I worked with Lee, and she was really great. You can put those recommendations right out on LinkedIn. They'll review your content, and they'll review your products and services. We've all done that. I recently did it just last week. Matter of fact, I took to Twitter. I was so unhappy and began to tweet wildly about a terrible customer service experience I had. Now, granted, I got a free dinner out of it, which was very nice. That wasn't really my purpose, but you know what? It was a way for me to express my discontent with that particular service, and that's what people do. They also use it to solve problems. People want to be a part of your community, not only to engage with you, not only to dialogue with you, but I want you today to think about your online communities in a little bit different way. I want you to go to your blog or your Facebook page, your Twitter account, or your YouTube, or whatever it is, and say to yourself, what can I post out there today that helps answer a question for them, for the person who's a part of my community. How can I help them solve a problem today? And that's a very different way of thinking about social media and social media marketing. So often, we as businesses focus on it being what I call a propaganda stream. Listen to me, folks. If you want success in this, it's not about being a propaganda stream. It's about helping people research to get the information they need, helping them recommend your products and services and your partners or complementary products and services. It's giving them the opportunity to give you feedback and then responding to it. It's helping them solve a problem, network with each other and with other folks that will help them find a job, help them make a sale. That's your job in social media. And yes, to help them buy. And if they do complain, to help you fix it for them, and then to help them decide to choose your product or service when the time comes. So that's a real different mindset. I suspect that if I went out there and I took a look at your Facebook page, your Twitter account, or whatever, it would be a whole lot of stuff about your organization. And I get it, because I understand that's what we're here to do, is market ourselves. But that's not the way to engage and create dialogue and relationship. So here we are. What to do next? Again, I encourage you to go out to the page we've set up for you, because we had 3 pre-questions. So, for example, again, from a high level, I want you to write down your goals. What do you hope to achieve from social media? Why did you set up that Facebook page in the first place? It might not surprise you to know that most people can't answer that question when we ask them. The response I most often get, and I'm going to ask you to raise your hand. I can't see you anyway, so you might as well do it. Raise your hand if you don't have a good answer to that. Well, because a colleague told me that we needed to have a Facebook page and we could, sell stuff on it. Or I saw a pizza company down the road and they were tweeting out coupons, and boy howdy, they increased their sales like 45%. So I'm going to start a Twitter account too and pop coupons out there and see what happens. Or my personal favorite, which is that we have a blog, and that blog is great, and we take all of our press releases and we put it out there. So it's just another way for us just to push information out to the prospect, the consumer. So you need to write down, though, what you really want from it. Do you want to increase your search engine ranking? Do you want to find and engage partners or vendors? Are you trying to create thought leadership for yourself? Are you trying to create relationships with specific target audiences or segments, so when the time comes for them to choose a new automotive partner, to choose a new insurance agent, to choose a new pest control person, or whatever it might be, or a new nonprofit, for them to donate their money? They think of you first because they already have that. Do you want to improve your customer support? A lot of times we've been helping clients, and I want you guys to think about social media in a lot of different ways. Use YouTube, for example, to put tech videos up on. And the customer folks can direct them to a help channel online. Or create Facebook pages that are specifically for customer support. Because let me tell you something quickly, and then we'll get on to the tools, but I think it's important to know where you are before you can know where you're going. Is that I'd rather have folks on my Facebook page giving me feedback and sharing with me what we can do better than have them out in random places online that's out there forever and I really never know it's out there. So we really like being able to say to folks, we've got this forum for you. And I want you to think about it that way. So maybe that's a goal for you. Second, determine where you are right now. I want you to be honest with yourself. If you're already in social media, what's working for you? What's not working for you? How closely is it aligned with your overall business objectives and your marketing objectives? Most people, again, treat social media, treat those outposts as the proverbial redheaded stepchild. I want you to do better than that. I want you to think about it as an integral part of your overall marketing strategy. In my opinion, and everybody has their own opinion out there, in my opinion, it's never going to replace great print. It's never going to replace great email marketing. All this does is it augments each other when it's well integrated. Third, what stands in your way? Is it time? Is it resources? Is it knowledge? Is it not? Is it really not understanding how it's all integrated? Your senior staff not on board? Or my personal favorite, have you grabbed an intern who's just a freshman in college? You dumped it all on the intern, and they really don't know your business, and yet you've got them front facing, and you wonder why you're not achieving great objectives, great results. So write down the things that stand in your way. And then four, and again, very high level, is how will you know when you're successful? Are you going to track that by the number of people who engage, by the number of leads you get, how much they buy? And there's lots of ways that you can do that. And there's qualitative and quantitative. It's not just about the numbers. It's also about the quality of the interaction that you have with those folks in your community. And for those of you who may have heard me speak before, you know how we feel about this. I'd rather have 500, 600 well-targeted, engaged individuals on my Facebook page than 80,000 folks who may or may not ever be interested in my particular product or service. So while quantity is important, you want to make sure it's the right quantity. For more information on that, there's lots of resources out there, but I want you to think about those things as we move through the 5 tools. So we're going to talk about Facebook first. And let me just first tell you that Facebook has 700 million users. 700 million estimated unique monthly users. That's per month. These are results as of September 20th. That's just mind-boggling to me. And when you look at Facebook, you actually see that it cuts across the majority of the demographic. And the largest growing audience, you're going to see that here in this YouTube video in just a second, the largest growing demographic is 35 plus. So I want you to think about who your target audience is. And I rarely show video, but this is a great little video, about a minute and a half. It's going to give you a lot of statistics, and you're welcome to hop out there and grab it on YouTube. Rachel, she's on the line with me. If you'll ping me and make sure this you can see this okay, that would be fabulous. It's just music, so you're not going to miss anything. Those are pretty amazing. Every 20 minutes, 10 million new comments. So, you know what? 65%, this is according to Pew Internet Research, just came out with some new stats a couple weeks ago. 65% of online adults use social networking sites and have had a positive experience. Fully 2/3 of those go online every day. That means the first time ever in the history of the U.S., a full 50% of all adults use these sites. So what should your page look like, right? Let's get down to a little bit of nitty-gritty. First, remember that little bit when I said, oh, you need to remember, what do you want out of your page? Well, you need to know, who do you want as members of your page? Who do you want to like you? Once they get there, how are you going to engage them? Number 2. Number 3, when and how often are you going to call them to action? That's another question you have to ask yourself. Once again, Facebook to us is probably one of the most important online tools you can use. It's your way to have transparency with your prospect or client, even with vendors and strategic alliances. It's also your way to have a two-way dialogue and to get feedback. There are lots of tools you can use on Facebook. And as an example of that, I just kind of wanted to show you, not only do we provide, it's not just us, all the best pages do it. Not only do you provide links and thank yous and giveaways, people want to come here and they want to get, remember that, a reason to come back. What am I going to get by being a member of your community? If it's just all information about you, guess what? I'm going to hide your newsfeed. And with the new changes in Facebook, it's easier than ever. You'll never know that they dropped off, but they're not going to be seeing your stuff. So, A, don't duplicate. What you find here on a good Facebook page is not duplicated on our Twitter account. And we recommend that to all of the clients. You know why? Because the people who chat and yappy and dialogue on Facebook, they're a completely different animal in terms of behavior from what your prospects on Twitter want. So they have a lot of great built-in tools. They have the polls. You should be using it. We've got some stuff. We're all about marketing and social media and online goodies. So we have a lot of great stuff from even some of our competitors we put out here. We just want to make sure that our 1,500 folks get good information. But let me show you something else, too. Just a quick little tip before we move on to the next tool, because Facebook to us is one of the big things that you should be using as long as you know to target what you're trying to achieve. Each one of these fields in the info area, you see all those links in there? Make sure it's well populated. That's probably the number one thing I see that's wrong. And well populated with information about your organization. Don't shy away from giving away a few goodies. Just know that Facebook has some really serious terms. You have to use third-party applications. I won't go on into it. But you know what? A $5 Starbucks gift card or a $5 Amazon gift card every once in a while goes a long way to say, hey, we appreciate you being a part of our community. If you've got a YouTube channel, we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Make sure that all of your particular videos are here and they can see that. So once again, with social media, you want to create a cohesive message and you want to create a dialogue across every channel. And what we like to share with you is that we want you to integrate those channels. Don't think of Facebook as a standalone. You can get to Facebook from our website. You can get to Facebook from our Twitter account. You can get to Facebook from our blog. And you can get to all of those other places from Facebook. So how do you call them to action? Well, I'll tell you what. After a while, and you begin growing your community and you begin interacting, then what we normally do is we put out something like a special or a discount. It may be a complimentary social media audit. It may be, a certain percentage off of a website redesign or a makeover. And then, you know what? They've seen some of our work. They've seen us talk. We've been chatting back and forth, and then we begin to get some conversion. I've shared this again with you because as it's not a particularly pretty visual that we eat our own dog food. That's the way we do it, and it works for the customers too. So again, create your community. Make sure you're engaging with them. Make sure you're interacting with them. Give them a reason to come back. And then I would say 40, 45% of the time, talk a little bit about how great you are, what you're doing, and then call them to action. But that cannot be the standard stream. It cannot be. Another thing you can notice over here is we also bring in a number of the highlights. Now, these are not, again, duplicated from our blog. It's just a couple little things that we think they might be interested in. So there's lots of free applications out there to help you really create a Facebook page that is dynamic and engaging. So Facebook is our very first tool. Everybody's out there on it. That's not the real reason why you should be on it. You should be on it because it works. If you have a good strategy and you are encouraging people to be a part of your community. Again, I say that because so many times they don't put the Facebook information on their literature. They don't put it on their website. They don't talk about it in their email signature. It's not on their LinkedIn account. If you're going to build it, put the effort into sharing it with the folks in your offline communities as well. All right. Tool number 2 is YouTube. Again, these are the tools that we think you should think about first. Why did I rank YouTube second? Couple of reasons. One, and this is a new statistic, 71% of online Americans use video sharing sites such as YouTube and Vimeo. That's from Pew Internet Research. Rural Internet users have caught up to others in their use of these sites. So if you think that you're in a rural part of Georgia and your folks are not looking on YouTube, you're wrong. The fact is that the rural areas are catching up, and 71% of the folks are on there. But you know what? There's a more compelling reason that you should be considering a YouTube strategy, and here it is. Your organization has a story. There's no better way to tell your story than with video. It's easy for me to think about losing weight. You know what? I want to think about losing weight, but yet when I go to a video site like Gold's Gym, and they have all of these great videos and testimonials, this guy lost, like 100 pounds or something, and they show you steps to do it. It tells your story in a way that words just can't do. And let me tell you something else, too, about video, is it doesn't have to be super duper produced. It just has to be authentic. That's what we're finding that prospects are loving. And I mean the customer's customer. That's who I'm talking about now. Not our customer, the customer's customer. They want authentic. It doesn't have to be super duper produced in front of a green screen. It just has to bring value. It has, remember that solving a problem, bringing additional information to them. So what does that mean? That means if you're a pest control company, maybe you do a quick little video log of a technician out of the home, and he's doing, here are 3 things that you can check for on your own. Here's a great way to cook for winter so you can save energy costs. Matter of fact, we've been working with a railroad company who's B2B out of Winona, Minnesota. They build railway parts. Okay, now we figured that if we could do video for them, we could do video for anyone. So for them, it's about buying a great part. Don't buy a knockoff part, buy a quality part. So how cool would it be for one of the technicians to go, here's the part, here's how you know whether or not it's a quality part. Here are 3 things to look for. That, folks, is compelling. So you've got to think creatively. What it is that you do that can tell your story in the most compelling way in a minute or less, or a minute and a half or less. That's the beauty of YouTube. And let me tell you what, you can do it in a minute here where it takes you 500 words on a blog post. It is amazing. The third reason why this is so important, besides the fact that it's got a huge audience, and it tells your story in a way that you can't tell it any other way, is that Google owns it. Need I say more? You get wonderful search lists off of YouTube. In fact, I'm going to show you a real-world search example here in a second of that. So YouTube, it's your organization. You have a story. Pick out a few compelling things and create some quick videos. Optimize them well, and you'll see that this can make a huge difference to your search and to your bottom line. And honestly, people will just connect with you in a way that they're not able to do any other way. All right, so I'm going to hop over here real fast, and I'm going to show you this real-world example. Is that we were working with a local chamber of commerce, and people, when they're out there searching for whatever it is you do, there are certain keywords and phrases that you can learn about through research that helps people find you. It's what they're using to search for you. And we determined that business leads group, power networking group, small business help, growing my small business, these are all reasons why you and I are members of the Chamber of Commerce. Let's just be honest. We're there because we want to grow our business. We're exactly the same way as you are. So we wanted to help folks find the chamber. And some people do go in and search for chamber. But when they are searching for some of these other words, we wanted them to find the chamber then too. And so power networking group, leads group, business leads group, all those types of things. We wanted them to pop up first, or at least certainly do well on the first page of Google. And YouTube popped up there with no problem. There are several videos now that actually shows some of those networking groups, and it shows how those groups function, how the great camaraderie among members. And so that really has made a big difference in launching their power networking and their business group. Notice right below that the blog, and right below that Facebook. So you're in the right spot today, and this is absolutely something you can use for yourself. These are very focused messages around on social media for what they were trying to achieve. So those are real-world examples for you. I'm going to take a sip of my Diet Coke. All right. Number 3. So far we've talked about what I call the big three tools. Facebook, we've talked about YouTube, which I think probably is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. The third thing I'm going to talk about today is Twitter. I find that most organizations have an understanding of why Facebook could be important to them. And they even understand YouTube because we're all, right, we all watch some TV. We all watch stuff online. We all love to see the dramatic, what's that called? The dramatic groundhog video. Do you guys remember that? That thing went viral. It was crazy. It was with a little groundhog. All of a sudden went, da-da, and the groundhog looked around and stared at the camera. Let me tell you, things like that go crazy because we love it. We love to watch it. We're visual people. Twitter, folks seem to not quite get as great a handle around. And I understand that because Twitter is a very different environment. Let me just say, my partner is super Twitter guru. Super Twitter guru. She loves Twitter. My mother, huge Twitter fan. When she's watching something on TV, she's watching the live, the Twitter stream that's going on at that moment. In fact, and let me tell you something, when they had the tornadoes up around Ringgold, remember that in Georgia? And then here this year when they had the tornadoes in Joplin, we knew about the tornadoes before CNN did because people were in their basement tweeting about it and talking about it and popping videos about it. See, that's Twitter. Twitter is like the immediate cocktail party. You know how you just talk briefly at a cocktail party and you move on? Twitter is very much like that. It's sharing important information, newsworthy information, having a quick conversation, sharing things that's going to be of value to folks, but it's not the same kind of dialogue and relationship that you're going to have on Facebook or even on a blog. But the difference between that and Twitter is that your dialogue is amplified so many times. So in our particular case, and not everybody is well suited to Twitter. We're going to talk about that in a second. We've got 3,000 followers here and another 1,000 followers over on our nonprofit account. So we've got basically about 4,000 folks who are out there taking a look. So what do we try and do? Again, this is real life stuff. You can see where we try and bring in not only the folks that are working with us, but the folks that we're supporting. We'll share links for clients, customers, nonprofits. You see, we talked about the Georgia Chamber. We'll retweet great information, again, even if it's competitors. We'll also push out some of our own information, and we reply to people. And it can be social media and marketing, or it can be just regular stuff. We comment on news stories. So same thing for you. If you have a Twitter account, is your Twitter account a straight propaganda stream? Or is it too informal? Some folks go the other way. And the other way is, oh, that macchiato I just had at my local coffee place was super creamy. Nobody wants to know about your macchiato. I'm just telling you. What they do want to know about is that, you know, if you're having a great event in your town, your company Twitter account should talk about it. If you did have a great meeting at your local Chamber of Commerce, you should tweet about it and say, hey, I just had a great meeting over at the Athens Chamber of Commerce, and you know what? I learned this one thing. And that's the kind of stuff, again, that people are going to get value out of. So, and when you send that out, it gets retweeted. People put you on lists so they consistently follow your tweet. And you're able to create lists. So as, for example, as an air conditioning company, heating and air, you may create a list that has people on it like Train, or maybe your local power company that has tips about that, or a local, you know, maybe renovation company. So people who are complementary to you can be great lists for you to use. So you're getting a boost from Twitter, and you're helping other people find information that's important to them by creating lists. So there's a lot of cool things out there. Now, I have one caveat about Twitter. Actually, we're a big fan. You can tweet discounts out on that. You can have contests, and I'm going to show you some of that in just a minute over on our little Level 1 tool. Lots of really cool things there. The caveat is this. Not all areas of Georgia are well suited for Twitter. So I want you to know that right away. If you are in the metro area, it's right up your alley. If you are in, for example, around any university area, you better, I think it'd be well worth your time to have a good Twitter strategy there. If you are in a very a rural area, Facebook and YouTube are usually your best bet, although Twitter does have, at this point, 200 million estimated unique monthly visitors. But that's still only about 10 to 15% of the overall online population. Like I said, it's very specific behavior with very specific results. If you're in an area that has some critical mass to it, then absolutely putting coupons, discounts, asking people to retweet for contests, all of those things could be well suited for you. I would rate, again, Facebook as one of the first things for you to really go back and optimize. I would rank YouTube still second for that, mainly for search purposes and telling your story. And then I would rank, of course, the blog as close to number 1. Maybe it's tied for number 1. Twitter is important for you, potentially. You need to look at your target audience. But it's one of the big 5, and I wanted to cover it here. All right, on to LinkedIn. On to LinkedIn. Now, this is another one where when you're talking about your overall strategic marketing and your overall social media strategy, it's kind of like Twitter to people. What am I going to use LinkedIn for anyway? So again, I'm going to give you some real world counsel on this from lessons hard learned. First, we use LinkedIn for search engine optimization. The fact is that all of the areas of your LinkedIn profile are easily searchable. We love it. LinkedIn seems to do a really good job in terms of popping up on search engine. We love it. We've had good results. The second and third and fourth part of that is, especially for B2B, B2B clients are getting some wonderful partnerships out of that. They're able to go out and research potential partners. They're able to find, so for example, if we sell to the vice president of marketing normally, if that's normally our decision maker, then our sales team can go out there and get information on a company and see who their vice president of marketing is. Find a way to get an introduction to that vice president of marketing. Get background about that company on LinkedIn, because you're able to search all of that right up here. And so they're able to get great info. People have found us on LinkedIn, again, because all of this is searchable. All of our activity comes straight into my profile. So, and over here, your website, your Facebook page, your blog, your Twitter account, all of those things you can put directly on your profile. Again, that is important for LinkedIn. So how would I use LinkedIn for you? You would probably go out, make sure that your profile is optimized. Make sure that all of the areas that are searchable are using keywords that tell the story correctly about your business. Now that's, again, where most people, if you're using this to really drive revenue for your organization, you can't make it a resume. You need to make it about your company first, about you second. Now, if you're looking for a job, don't raise your hand if your boss is sitting next to you, but that's a very different story. But if you're using LinkedIn to build your business, you need to make it about the company first and about you second. And make sure that all of this is part of your profile, feeding in your blog posts, feeding in your tweets, feeding in Facebook updates, and then sometimes providing information out to your LinkedIn community that they can't get anywhere else. So once again, it's well integrated. You can get to the LinkedIn profile from our Facebook page. You can get to the LinkedIn profile from our website. And we use that LinkedIn profile on our business cards, and we put that LinkedIn profile in our email signatures. Once again, I want to give everyone every opportunity to talk with us in the way that they are most comfortable with. As I move on to the next slide, would it surprise you to know that we have prospects, customers who only talk to us on Facebook? Yeah, you probably shook your head yes. It's sometimes a surprise to me too. But that's the only way they contact us. We have some who only contact us via direct message on Twitter. It's true. They don't do email, some of them anymore. And then we have some where I'm consistently getting inbox messages from LinkedIn. So what I'm saying is that as these channels mature, you need to be in the game, you need to have a good handle on it, and you need to know that everybody's going to have their preference. What's going to work out on Facebook won't necessarily work out on Twitter or on LinkedIn. Also, some great recruiting out on LinkedIn too, by the way. So that's a great thing to use LinkedIn for as well. We've used that real successfully. Okay, so here's my favorite thing, and I put it last, although it should be first, because I wanted to spend a little bit of time on it, and knowing that we had limited time today. And that's the blog. Man, the blog has come of age. Let me tell you what. A blog used to be, back in the day, and I'm going to date myself, the blog used to be where you just all the little pointy-headed people, and I call techie people pointy-headed people. That includes me, so don't be offended if you're a pointy-headed person too. The pointy-headed people basically created an online journal. That was pretty much it, an online journal. And so they went out there, they talked about stuff, and they shared stuff. I remember blogging when I was sitting in the dark of my college room. Okay, now I'm really going to date myself. And you had to hear the modem sign on, right? Don't chuckle. Don't chuckle out there. That's why I had sunshades on in the photo on stage 1 of the PowerPoint slide. And I remember that. Nobody else could get on the line, right? So I was out there sharing my information with the world, and I'm not sure that anybody cared, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Let me tell you why about blogs. Blogs have matured into a point where they are robust websites. In fact, in our case, and I think probably in a lot of cases, we don't even build websites any longer that are not sitting on some sort of content management system. Really, a content management system, folks, is kind of like a big blog in a way. What it means is that you have lots of great content, you're consistently pushing pages and posts and articles and videos and all sorts of cool things up onto your website. And here's why a blog is important. Let me just hop right back over here. Remember I looked at the rankings, and for some of these terms, YouTube was right there, but it was a blog, and then Facebook, and then the blog, and then if you scroll on down, there was the regular website, and then if you go on down some more, it's the blog. So a blog is a way, and here's the bottom line for it. A blog is a way for you to create a dynamic portal for your organization that has great content, that's consistently updated, that's relevant and meaningful to the people who are coming to your website. That's the way that we look at a blog. And that's the way we look at a website, right? Because I said that most of the websites that we're experiencing now are actual blogs. So, for example, and I'm just going to show you again what this means in a real world. Published author. She had a regular website, but she's an author. She writes. This is a woman who was completely, had no rankings, nothing was going on, no interactivity, and she just has some of the best writing. And this is actually her website now. So for those of you who've never thought about using a content management system or using a blog as your actual website, you need to change your thinking about that. So what happens is, in each of these circumstances, all of this information, all of the posts, see over here it says blog, even though all of this is WordPress, every piece of information has the opportunity to be optimized and then pushed out to Google. So not only are you creating a content-rich area for your organization, you're also helping yourself and your bottom line because you're giving them a call to action on every page. You're helping Google find great content to rank. And this is certainly not, this is about social media, but let me just say that social media and Google, they are a pair made in heaven. You can't ask for a better pairing because social media gives you the opportunity to create meaningful, relevant content about your organization. Google loves meaningful, relevant content. And if you're sitting there and you're saying, well, wait a second, I'm B2B. I really don't know how this is going to work for me or anything else. The fact is that good content matters, even if you're B2B. Good content matters for search. Good content matters for answering a question or solving a concern for your vendors, for your businesses, for your customer's customer. You're helping your customer solve problems and be better for their customer, and they're going to pass that along. So I'm just showing you these because a blog really is a website to us now, and you need to think about it that way. Sure, there are still typical blogs that I call more typical that sit outside of the website or a part of the website, and each of these also rank really well and give you the opportunity to create meaningful content. But in short, I would say a blog is probably one of the #1 things that you can do to really harness social media, is to think about what you're going to say, create good content that's meaningful and helpful to your target audience, and then, again, as that dialogue progresses, you're going to have a community, so when they need your product or service, they're going to think of you first. That's the way that we think about how you use a blog. And just, again, remember that those types of content management systems can really make a fabulous website for you. So don't think that this is just something that needs to be traditional blog. All right. In our last few minutes here, we talked about Facebook, we talked about YouTube, we talked about Twitter, we talked about LinkedIn, we talked about the blog and delivering real bottom line results. The fact is that, and I'm sure anyone you've talked to who's ever worked with blogs consistently with great quality content, we've never had one have poor results. And I share that with you because if you work it consistently, with great quality content, with an eye towards your target audience, people are going to respond to that. Just like you want to hear good content from me and you want to see real-world stuff. Think about that for the audience of your website and of your blog. All right, so what else is there? My favorite little photo. What else is there? You need to distribute your great content. And we're going to talk more about content in part 2 and how Google looks at some of that. But how do you distribute great content? Well, the first thing you have to do is get your arms around all this. Remember at the very beginning I asked you 4 questions? You know, what are you hoping for? What do you hope to achieve? How are you going to know when you get there? Well, you put down all of those answers to those questions. So we're going to give you a very simple tool right now to help you take that first step. And even if you're already out there in the social media and online world, if you're feeling a little discombobulated, one of my favorite words, if you're feeling a little discombobulated or you're not quite sure how all of this fits together, this is a great way to move you in the right direction. It's going to ask you these questions. Who am I trying to target? Why am I trying to reach them? What am I going to say to them on Facebook and Twitter and my blog and email and all these places? When am I going to post? When am I going to say this to them? And another what, which is what do I expect them to do once they're a member of my community? And yet another what are their expectations of me? So we're going to hop out here and we're going to go look at what we call a sample level 1 editorial calendar. And what we just found is for organizations who are really trying to take that first step, this is a great way for you to kind of look at your online portfolio. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of those other things right over here in the other column. So we're going to give you an example. So this is for a portable storage unit. They're called pods, right? Mobile portable storage unit. And so this is why you need to think broadly about what it is you do. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days here. And this is the message that we're talking about for the week. This is some of the things we're going to do on Facebook. Here's what we're thinking about doing on Twitter. Here are a couple of article suggestions on the blog. Here are the 2 videos that we're going to do just with our little split cami thing over here. And then e-news, podcast, Facebook deal of the day for check-in, and a social media press release. There are a lot of other things that you can do. So how does this work? You're going to go, oh, man, like that cranberry commercial. Oh, it's V8. Why didn't I think of that? Here it is. Spruce up your home for fall. What does that have to do with portable storage or mini storage? Well, a lot. If you're talking about decluttering your home, why don't you take some of that stuff that's currently in your garage or in your home and store it and declutter your home so you can de-stress your life a little bit. See? That's the kind of stuff where you begin to tie it together. So on Facebook, maybe we have a poll. Would you call yourself a pack rat? Or even more fun, would your significant other call you a pack rat? Yes or no? So we started the messaging through Facebook. So declutter to de-stress. So on Twitter, maybe what we're going to do is run a week-long retweet campaign. Retweet for a chance to win a $100 gift card to a home store. Why? Because the end game down here is trends for home renovation. Once again, how does that fit into portable storage? Well, I'm going to have to store some stuff, maybe for a couple of months, out of my dining room and living room while I install hardwood floors. You see, again, that's the way it all begins to work together. And so on the blog, you write article on 5 ways to declutter and de-stress with a very soft sell of what's going on with your particular portable storage unit. So message 2, and I'm not going to go through every one, you have it, how to store your stuff safely. Tip on Facebook, how would you use your $100 to spruce up your home? Retweet and enter to find out. And then a vlog. So you have someone say, here's my weed eater. Let me tell you how you need to store your weed eater to make sure it's still in great operating condition before you put it in your portable storage unit. And then you've got your nurture marketing. And your nurture marketing might be dropping on Tuesday or Wednesday, which has an article also about decluttering and de-stressing, talks about the contest going on Twitter, encourages them to join your Facebook community. Yowza, you see what's going on. So it takes looking at the big picture. If you're considering each or all of these, the podcasting as just some kind of standalone thing where you're going to push out just your brochures and your propaganda, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to look at social media as an important and integral part of your online marketing. And let me just say, this is our, remember I said our automotive? For those of you who are B2B, I know we're coming up on the end of time, but for those of you who are B2B, I want you to know it works. I haven't completely filled this in, but we were working on a campaign about quality matters and locomotive parts. So we talk about safety. We link to safety stats. We put that online article out there in a social media press release. We talk about the fact that quality matters for better performance. And we talk about in the blog how much longer a company X part lasts in a knockoff. We create an infographic on how much money you can save. We have a video about how to identify a real part from company X as opposed to a knockoff. See, again, a video example of how a subpar part looks after a little wear and tear. And that's going to run next to a trade magazine and an expo that they have coming up. I want you to think across channels. I don't want you to think up and down in those channels. That's going to make a big difference in pulling all of this together for you. Once you get a handle on that, you need to begin to think to the next step. What are those metrics really look like? Again, what am I trying to achieve? How am I going to find out if I'm achieving it, and how am I going to measure it? So again, that's another bazillion-hour workshop. But this is a great first step for you.